Hi, everyone. So, yeah, a few days ago, a colleague of mine asked me about these plasters that everyone seems to be using nowadays for treating all kinds of problems. And she wanted to know whether I thought they worked. Well, they're interesting because these plasters don't have any active ingredient at all attached to them. So they're not emitting some kind of chemical or anything like that. Well, all they do is they reflect back photons into the body. Now that's interesting. I mean, photons have always interested me. I'm an expert in the use of lasers, and lasers are light energy which you pump into the body, and they have remarkable benefits in the body. So Professor Popp in Germany showed a long time ago, he was an world expert on the use of light and photons, and showed that the body does actually emit light. When cells die, they emit photons. And those photons that dying cells emit then might activate stem cells to replace the cells that are dying. So isn't that quite amazing that as the cells die, they emit light, and that light then stimulates stem cells. So it seems that these plasters in some kind of way are able to reflect back. But the plasters don't cover the whole body. They only cover a small portion of the body, and yet they seem to be able to activate a whole range of metabolic activities. Now, I've seen these kinds of tools around for a long time. And over the years, I mean, of my practice, 50 years, there was always something that came along that was miraculous and seemed to be able to do all kinds of things. There were energy machines and Rife machines and all kinds of other energy tools that seemed to be quite miraculous. Now, I mean, I've used the laser, and I used the laser a lot. When I was full-time practice and seeing anything from 15 to 20 patients a day, well, when you're doing at least 5 laser treatments a day, during a week, I was seeing miracles happen. And what I mean by a miracle is that I would use the laser on a particular part of the body in a patient who had, let's say, pain for years, and within minutes, the pain had completely gone, even though they'd had the pain for a long time. And yet, minutes later, that's a miracle. Not every person was miraculous, but nevertheless, during the course of 1 week, I was seeing a few miracles. And that's why my practice grew so quickly, because when a person has a miracle, they go tell everybody about it. But it doesn't work in a miraculous way in everybody, but it certainly did work. And the question always came up for me, because you can't feel the laser and the light, and the question is it really working, or is this a placebo effect? Now, the placebo is a really, really interesting phenomena. Science has no understanding of what the placebo is, why one person responds in a placebo-like way and another person doesn't. I wrote a paper on the placebo effect many, many years ago, and the placebo response was anywhere between 8 and 81%. Well, if you've got an 81% placebo effect, there's nothing that can beat that. No drug or some tool going to beat 81%. And that was across the board. So there's no drug on the market today that can go out there without being compared to a placebo, because the placebo is so powerful, and the placebo works in any condition. So that's why every single drug trial has to have a placebo. And there's always a group of people that will respond to the placebo. And even if you tell people, look, this is only a placebo, so don't pay too much attention to it, they come back to you and say, doctor, I know you were trying to play a game with us. That wasn't a placebo, was it? It was a real drug, eh? It was just a placebo. But they responded to it. So there is something quite magical around all this stuff over here. People respond to a drug even. There is a part of that response that is a placebo effect. So actually, when you're doing drug trials, you can't really tell because people that are taking the drug can feel the drug, and so that even gives an additional effect from the placebo effect. So it's a puzzle, and pharmaceutical companies don't like the placebo because of that. I've written a paper on the power of prayer, so we know that even praying can have an effect. So what is really going on? If you can advertise enough and tell people how much your product can do, you're going to get a lot of people responding to anything that they take. So does that mean that the plasters are all placebo? No. I don't think the laser is all a placebo. But all I'm pointing to here is something that is going on in this healing space that is not straightforward. I wrote an article about the fact that, human beings are not just matter chemical. We're not just chemistry, and we're not just a matter body. We're much more than that. We are a matter, energy, information being with consciousness in the background. So the whole of the way we tend to look at something is from the point of view of matter or chemistry. But it's like the top of an iceberg. The top of the iceberg is you could call it the matter chemistry part of it, but there's a whole part that's under the water, and that has to do with flow of energy, information, consciousness, the whole part of life that is life force, that is soul, spirit. All these things are operating in a human being. It's not just chemistry, not just anatomy. So when we're using tools, whether it's the rifle or the laser or the plasters that people put on, they obviously have some kind of effect, some kind of focus. Something happens to us when we use something, like whatever we use, whether it's some kind of special rock, whether we use herbs, whatever we use, homeopathy, whatever we use, that tool has a way of concentrating our minds and our consciousness, and so it does make a difference. And the way it's structured makes a difference. We've seen how water can shift according to the person holding the glass of water, can make a difference to the crystalline structure of water. So there's a lot of things going on in this healing space that we don't understand. We are running around on the top of the iceberg, and we have no idea what's going on underneath. Most of the iceberg is under the water. So it's not that things don't work, but I think they work in ways that we don't understand. There's magic here. Please go and watch my video on YouTube, my Series 2 videos. There are 4 of them, only 10 minutes each, where I talk about the magic. And so we are not what we think we are. We're not just anatomy and chemistry. We're energy, information, consciousness. We are magical beings. And what's happening in our life has a lot to do with things that are not obvious. Even quantum science now is talking about the observer. The observer and what is observed makes a difference. The mere act of observation changes the outcomes. So we need to relax into the space and start to have fun. It's not straightforward. It's really magical. Have a good day.